listening to Hotepish with your host, DwannBrown. Intelligent ish talk, intelligent shit talk, where we balance the profound with the profane. Political satire, celebrity and expert guests, information and entertainment, conversation and solutions. Leave your feelings at the door.
What up, y'all? What up, y'all? We are here. We are here. We are here.
You're listening to Hotepish.
Talking that intelligent-ish talk.
Intelligent
That intelligent shit talk. where we balance the profound with the profane. Let me say that again, the profound with the profane.
And entertainment, conversation and solutions.
Dwan, why you be cussing so much? Because I feel like it, god damn it. Thank y'all for joining me today. We got a couple of topics. We're going to do a review of the Phat Tuesdays documentary that's on Amazon Prime now. And we're going to talk about the man up. You wanted to be a man? Now you got to fight like a man. It is only fair. Because if the world around you has to change for how you feel today, then you must conform to the demands of what that world has for what you feel you conform to. That's true equality. You dig what I'm saying? What's up, everybody in the chat room? What's up, Tasha? What's up, Nino Black? Somebody's name here is Mavis Beacon. Is that, did you? That's how I learned how to type on that Mavis Beacon tutorial back at my old Macintosh computer I got. Yeah, the Mavis Beacon typing tutorial. Like, the more you type, the faster you type, it's like a little race car. And the faster you type, the faster your car went. But every time you make a mistake, you slow down. And that's how a nigga got to typing 72 words a minute with no mistakes. But yeah, we here. Hit the like button and please share. Hit the like button and please share. I'm gonna first start talking off about on the news of the day. I'm gonna get to reviewing the Phat Tuesdays documentary because I have a lot of personal experience with almost everyone in that documentary. And I'm going to tell it from my point of view, from both being a consumer and also later on getting into stand-up comedy. I encourage y'all to watch that documentary. But first, we go here. Ukraine tells the identifiers, okay, since you identify as, state and do as. Trans and non-binary people trapped in war-torn Ukraine. See, if you notice, the Western newspapers are over here giving it a slant. They're saying that the LGBTQ fleeing in Ukraine face discrimination. They're trying to turn this into a discrimination thing against gay and trans, when really that's not what it is at all. See, the Western media, I love what's going on right now. The Western media is getting caught up in the web of their own bullshit, and they're trying to figure out how to get around it. On one hand, they're trying to make us all go against Russia and anti-Russia. Oh, we must love Ukraine. And then when Ukrainians start trapping Africans and saying you can't go, the media wants to ignore that while at the same time bringing attention to the trans and non-binary people being told, nah, homie, you gotta stay and fight. And before I get too deep off into it, please don't come in here saying, that's not our problem. That's not the point, stupid. We must always be aware of world affairs. And when things happen in world affairs, when there are lessons in world affairs that we as Black Americans can use to our advantage, we discuss those things. When we can see the hypocrisy, when the media using hypocrisy in other communities, when that can be used as a teaching example to our community, we talk about it. So if anyone comes in the chat room, I don't really be looking at the chat room too much when I'm in a stream of thought. So chat room, if anyone comes in saying, man, that's not our problem, we need to be talking about that instead of this, do me a favor, find your middle finger emojis right now. Get your middle finger emojis ready. And anyone who comes in here saying that nonsense, you don't block them, don't ban them. Just use the middle finger emoji and at them so that they get the little highlight bar knowing that y'all talking about them. Use the middle finger emoji, at them, and tell them to shut up and listen, all right? Will you do that for me, chat room? Because at some point, somebody's going to come up in this chat room and say, man, that ain't our problem, man. We need to be focused on blah, 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 blah. Nigga, just because you're talking about a particular subject doesn't mean you're not focused on something else. Just because somebody's talking about apples don't mean that they won't pick up that orange when it's time to pick up that orange. No, goddammit, the topic is apples. Just to be clear. So I thank you in advance for that chat room. Thank you in advance. Same thing when I'm going and talking about the Phat Tuesdays documentary. Someone's going to come in and say, why are we talking about a documentary when our people is going through blah, 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 blah. And it's always these motherfuckers that type with their two front fingers. Your two pointer fingers. See, the best thing that could have happened to a lot of you motherfuckers that be in these chat rooms running your mouth is the phone. Because back in the days when everything internet related was on the computer, we got these people who never took the Mavis Beacon tutorial, call back, typing 6 words a minute with 6 mistakes, using a pointer fingers. Where's H? H, E, oh, question mark. Oh shit, I hit shift. Shift, question. It's you slow typing motherfuckers that we be having problems with. They be coming in fucking up shit. Y'all lucky we got these phones that y'all can now use y'all thumbs. Now you typing all fast in the chat room with your thumbs. But I tell you to put that back on the keyboard and find your home row keys and type that out. You're going to have a lot less to say at that point. But what we talking about, the trans people have been told to stay. See, what we see happening right here is white America, they play both sides of, white supremacy plays both sides of the argument. That means when they're dealing with us, but also when they're dealing with themselves, when they're dealing with other white people. They play both sides of the argument. White supremacists understand how whatever's going on in the world, they're going to slant that information, slant that news to their political benefit. So on one hand, it's to their political benefit to speak out against Russia's involvement with Ukraine, because at the end of the day, the West has its partnerships with the Ukraine. And they get a lot of those Ukrainian resources. Matter of fact, they get the Ukrainians to buy a lot of their resources because of their Western alliance. So it's politically expedient for them. It's politically in their favor, into their advantage, to support the Ukrainian side of the game in this white-on-white violence. Somebody said, is there any benefit to typing fast? Yes. For those of us who are actually productive in life and do things on computers that need to be typed out, it's a hell of a lot more productive to get that message you have to say out in 5 minutes versus 45 minutes. So it's very productive and very beneficial to type fast. But back to what we're talking about, white-on-white violence. On one side of the argument, yes, it is politically advantageous for white America to side with the Ukrainians on this particular subject, because that's their trade routes. That's how they make their money. It'll be different terms if you're dealing with, it's different terms if you're dealing with Russia. Russia is going to hold them to a different standard. They're going to charge more. They're going to cost more. Tariffs are going to be different than the Western favorable Ukraine. But on the other end, the United States likes pushing this LGBTQ agenda. So since they like typing this LGBTQ agenda, the LGBTQs are facing an issue in the Ukraine. So on the other hand, the same media who says support Ukraine, damn Russia, is getting on Ukraine's head about their treatment of trans. And because it's not politically convenient to discuss black people in any part of the diaspora, whether they're black people in the United States, South America, Fiji, or the Ukraine, they're doing their best to totally ignore what's going on with them. And then when they do address what's going on with the black Ukrainians, as we saw Professor Black Truth break down, they're telling black Ukrainians, don't run, stay home. So they're going to play every side of the argument. What's up, Joe Fox? In the chat room? Man, Joe Fox is making my music family tree. Ooh, that shit gonna be nice. My man Joe Feezy over here. I know I keep jumping off subject, but y'all get it. Joe Fox done turned my damn music family tree into a piece of artwork. Ooh, when this tree drops, it's gonna be some magical shit going on. Thank you, Joe Fox, for turning this tree into a piece of art. Y'all gonna see it pretty soon. But I digress. So now it's in the Western media's interest to talk about the LGBTQ shit. So the people over here in America are mad because I know what they thinking. Hell, if the United States goes to war, and this is World War III, what's going to happen to the transgenders over here? What's going to happen to the Ukraine? Somebody we got some dickless in the chat room saying, you a Ukrainian expert now? No, nigga, I just read the news my whole life. And why are you wearing a mask? First of all, why are you wearing a mask in your picture? Like, that's corny. Second of all, you look like you're above 40. So if you're above 40, the breaking of the USSR happened up in 1991. That means you were around 10 when the time the USSR broke up, at least 10 years old. And that was major news about the USSR breaking up and the Ukraine breaking off and how important they were to affairs over there. That means you were around in 1998 when Bill Clinton attacked Kosovo, which tied into the former Soviet Union, Ukraine, Russian affairs. I'm sure you were around in 2014 when Crimea was taken by Russia back from the Ukraine. So when it comes to the Ukraine and Russia, these are regions of the world that stay in the news. And if anyone's paid attention over their lifetime, just halfway paid attention to what's going on around the world, you're fairly up to date and abreast as to what's going on in the world. So if your goofy ass don't know about what's going on over here, don't get mad at me for being someone who pays attention to world affairs. Get mad at yourself and get mad at your mama for not raising you right. Yeah, dick. Hey, didn't I tell y'all? Look. Hey, what's up, Mod? What's up, Quanes? Hey, what did I tell y'all mods to do when y'all see niggas like this in the chat room? Didn't we say they coming? Hey, before I started my whole monologue, I said they coming, didn't I? I said, this is a new man, we black. Why we gotta worry about the Ukraine? Hey, chat room, what did I say to do to people who come in here telling them, I didn't say kick them out. I said, get that middle finger emoji ready and at them. You're right, B. Paulie. Some niggas is raised on hot Cheetos and Capri Suns. And Sally J, and no, that's they look to. This nigga was raised on goddamn Maury Povich on TV. Here's some hot Cheetos and here's some Capri Suns. Sit your ass down. Oh my God. You know, see, dumb people are so goddamn dumb. You can say they coming, but you can say they coming long before they come, and here they come, and they gonna show us all who they are, right? See, it's always that one. It's always that one. Oh shit. But it's good you got the mask on in your photo because your breath smell like your insides. Your breath smell like them dicks you be sucking with the dookie lined on it. Nigga, you got dookie dick breath. So keep wearing that mask in your picture, homeboy. It's the dude with the mask that's talking. He called me broke. That's another thing slave-minded niggas do. They judge other black people. Even if I was a billionaire, if I was worth $2 billion, I'd still be broke relative to the richest white person. So only slave-minded ass niggas go around telling black people, man, you broke. Oh my God. These niggas is easy. Man, you broke ass. You broke too, nigga. Yeah, we all broke. Everybody in here is broke, nigga. You got one white man that's worth everybody in every chat room that's in the pro-black sector, including the people who run the chat room, who run the YouTube channels. You got one white person that's worth 3 times the amount of all of us put together. Yes, we're broke, nigga. So what's next? You're coming to me for information. And your mouth smell like dookie dick. That's why you gotta wear a mask. But back to what we talking about. Dookie dick breath has had enough attention. So the transgender people in the Ukraine are now facing a problem. They've been identifying as men. They said, I'm gonna wear cornrows and fatigues, and I'm gonna dress like a man, act like a man, Walk like a man, talk like a man. Now the Ukraine is saying, hey, we getting attacked by Russia, so now you must act like a man and be a man. And I think this shit is great. Because look, whatever you want to call yourself, I have no issues with. Let me make this very clear to the people who are in the LGBTQ community. I have no issues with y'all, but you guys have become a political organization. And so since there's a political organization that's wrapped around sexuality, that political organization, their political interests are different than my political interests. My political interest is reparations for Black America. My political interest is special protections for Black America. LGBTQ political interest is whatever Black America is doing, let's co-opt that, get benefits for ourselves, and then go back to sucking dicks. Like that dude Sean Isaacs in the chat room. I think that's why he is so triggered at this topic. I ain't seen it do no other chats, but we talking about the trans community. Look at who mad. Look who mad in the chat room. The people still wearing masks. Smelling like he licked a line of shit off his boyfriend's dick 3 hours ago. Now he gets on YouTube and starts making up all kinds of stuff because he's mad we're talking about the trans community. See? When that's the difference between the Black community and the LGBTQ community. The LGBTQ community has interests that revolve around their sexual behaviors, when the Black community don't give a damn about your sexual behaviors. We just want special protections because we're the ones being killed out in these streets. We're the ones whose wealth and resources have been stolen because of the color of our skin. So I have no issues with the LGBTQ trans community as individuals, but since we have opposing political views, I must treat you as such, if you dig what I'm saying. If you dig what I'm saying. So, the rule forcing men aged 18 to 60 to stay and fight has left many trans and non-binary people stranded in the country. You see the headline is saying they left stranded. They're not stranded. They know exactly what to do. Report and fight. You ain't stranded. Now your strap-on might be stranded. They may tell you to leave your strap-on at home as you go to report for duty, but you ain't stranded. You want to be a man, then you got to be a man. See, that's why we can't have these common issues with other groups. We can't take off from being Black when it's politically or socially convenient. We're Black 24/7 all day, every day. Even if we choose not to see ourselves as Black, we live in a society that will still pin us down as Black, regardless of what we say on how we see ourselves. And we'll get people in the trans community and the LGBTQ community who say, hey, Black people and gay people have a common cause. Black people and gay people must stick together because we are both discriminated against. You see here, the minute they want to be a trans and be a man, now all of a sudden they back to women. That right there alone is why we cannot be politically aligned. We don't get to play hot and cold. We don't get to morph when it's politically convenient. They do. And as they do, you see that they have a worldwide Western media that's there to back their play. You see what I'm saying? They don't want to stay and fight. They want to now be back to being women. And there's a whole Western media apparatus that's there to support their metamorphosis in and out of women and man, gay and straight. Just like what Neely Fuller says, they play all sides of the argument. So now they're saying the trans women who identify as men are now women, and they're writing this article slanted towards the benefits the children and the women are getting. But hold on. If you no longer identify as a woman, then why should you receive the benefits and privileges of a woman? See, it's one thing if the trans community, the LGBTQ community, it's one thing if they say they are who they are, but you know, this is what I identify as, this is how I get down. I ain't really tripping on what other people do. That's one thing. If that was what it was, I'd be like, all right, cool, go ahead. You still a woman, then you shouldn't fight. The problem is they want the rest of the world to bend to how they see themselves. They want the rest of the world to accommodate them. They want to come in into men's restrooms. They want to be identified as men. There are different laws. I think New York has a law on the books, if I'm not mistaken. I'm don't quote me on this, but there's that misgendering law. I know that they proposed it. I don't know if it passed or not, so don't quote me. But I do know in 2020 there was a law being proposed in New York, making it illegal to misgender someone. They want those type privileges to where it's illegal to call them a woman when they're really a man, or a man if they're really a woman. They're doing their best to bend the world to conform to how they see themselves. Okay, that's fine. But that comes with a consequence. If you want the world to see you as a man the way you see yourself, then the world is only going to expect you to follow through with the duties of being a man. You're right, and that's why this shit's a joke. Yeah, good point, Breeze Omega. Someone said the Ukrainian president is Jewish. Jewish is white, homie. We don't, we only hear what we do. We only decipher between white groups when it's politically advantageous to us. Same way they do. I over here, my degree, like y'all know, my degree is in communication studies. I know how to communicate. That's one thing I do well. And the power of fiat is the power all of us possess. What's the power of fiat? The power of fiat is to basically make, like our money's fiat. Money's fake. It's made up. It's an agreed upon value. Well, individuals and groups also have that power when they choose to take it. White supremacists use the power of fiat all the time. They're using the power of fiat when they say transgenders are women. That's the power of fiat. That's the power of making shit up, and making others agree to that made up thing that you made up. We have that power too as black people. We just don't exercise that power. Hell, most of us don't even know we even have that power. We so busy conforming to other people's use of the power of fiat, we refuse to use it on ourselves. So no, Jew is white. White is Jew. I don't call out the Jews specifically because they're white. Call out white supremacy. Because if it was about religion, such thing as Jewish, then we see black Jews with this exercising the same power. Sammy Davis Jr. identified as Jewish, but the minute he stopped making hit records, the minute he stopped being appealing on TV, he was back to being another nigga. Ask Whoopi Goldberg the power of being a black Jew. You dig what I'm saying? So yeah, we deal with white supremacy. But if it is to our political advantage to decipher the differences between the groups to where it's going to be something that ultimately empowers black society, then by all means, talk about their ethnic difference if it's to our political advantage. But this isn't to our political advantage to decipher between white and Jewish when talking about white supremacy, because that's their own ethnic problems. You dig what I'm saying? So here, we're talking about the LGBTQs getting mad that the trans people are being told to fight as men. And yes, we know they're not the real Jews, quote unquote. Yes, we know that. But they use their power fiat to make the world bend to their definition of Judaism. And I personally, even though we know they're not the real Jews, they're Jewish. They're telling you they're not the real Jews. That's why they call themselves Jewish. Anytime you hear the ish suffix, that means part of, partially, mixed in, not all the way. They're telling you that. But the fact is, they own the media apparatuses and things. So you have to be, if you want to understand the greater good of getting your message out, you have to know what to and not to say also. And it also goes back to laws of nature. When you're on someone else's platform, when you're in someone else's house, you must respect the rules of that house. And at the end of the day, those people with the small hats, those are the ones who got the majority of the money in this platform we call YouTube. So why would I go ahead and make these videos breaking all that stuff down when people can find that information themselves and then be deplatformed? And in my being deplatformed, the other information that I have that can really help people grow and become better people will never be heard because I'm trying to go out there and speak on something that people can find out for themselves. While at the same time knowing that true Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, this is one principle we understand as a people. What's understood don't need to be said. So when people going around saying, you need to talk about this and you need to talk about that, no, you need to sit your ass down, nigga, and listen. And I'm not talking to anyone in particular in this chat room. I'm talking to anyone who has that on their mind, thinking about saying some bullshit about that. Not to anyone here in particular. Speaking to a mindset. And if you have that mindset, then yes, I am speaking to you. If what I'm saying right now is your mindset, and you want these things, you want me to do these things that are in your mind, then you're the person I'm speaking to. You dig, you dig, you dig. You dig. So, and if you feel it's your job to exploit the differences between different white ethnic groups, then that's fine too. I can't tell the next person on what they shouldn't talk about. But just like you have a YouTube channel to join this chat room and speak on these issues, that is the same YouTube channel you can use to create a platform addressing these issues that you so talk about. Maybe you're the vehicle, maybe you're the vessel that can speak on these things with a clarity that others can understand. And maybe you're the vessel that won't be silenced by YouTube when speaking on these things. I encourage you to use the same channel that you would use in this chat room to speak, to say what I should be saying. You use it and you create a platform for yourself. Because let me tell you something. This time 2 years ago, I was the person in the 5150 chat room, still am sometimes. In the Black Room chat room, still am sometimes. Inside Netter's chat room, not so much anymore. Listening to what these people had to say. And this same channel you see me talking on is the same channel I was commenting in other people's chat rooms 10 years ago on. 5 years ago. But I was never the commenter telling them what they need to say. If I did make a comment, it was an agreement, because I always felt if I wanted to say something contradictory to the person with the platform, I'll just do that on my own. Why would I go to somebody else's platform to tell them they're wrong? So the things that I'm requesting that you do, if you feel that the Jews are the people who need to be talked about, is what I've done. I'm speaking my point of view on things that we all see going on. Just as Professor Black Truth is going to speak his point of view, just as Brother Rich or Brother Ronald B. Hurd is going to speak his point of view, because we all have points of views to contribute to the whole. That's right, Tavion Lamont. In other words, get your own platform and talk about it. Feel free. That's right, Brother Tavion. Tell him. Feel free to talk about these things. And I am a living example. This isn't a different YouTube channel that I will be in the 5150 chat room on in 2016. This is the exact same channel that I would be on Boyce Walk. I don't go to Boyce Walker's channel pretty much at all anymore. That's because I was in Boyce Walker's chat room in 2018, 2019, and he would say things that would make me be like, I don't know about that, Boyce. I'm with you, brother, but I don't know about that, dog. But I wouldn't go in his chat room and tell him how he needs to change. I created my own fucking show. It really is that simple. It really is. Yeah, Nino Black, I haven't unsubscribed from Boyce. I'm still subscribed, but I just don't pay attention to him anymore. And I was a huge Boyce Watkins fan in 2018, 2016. I watched almost every video he did. And I'm not saying anything against him. I'm just saying when he got his new teeth, he started really showing his teeth. I swear to God, every time I see Boyce Watkins' teeth, I feel like I need to learn how to play the piano. That motherfucker's teeth look like one of them old 1980s Casio key. You know, like them Fisher Price keyboards you give a toddler. Them Fisher Price keyboards that go doo doo with the big ass keys. Doo 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 doo. That's what I want to play on Boyce Watkins' teeth now. Ever since the nigga got his teeth, he been different, boy. He was kind of getting different before them teeth, but since Boyce got them teeth, I don't know. That nigga, I guess he's eating apples for the first time in his life. You know, Boyce and his teeth is, I fucks with pre-teeth Boyce Watkins. Two of y'all said Mr. Ed at the same time. It's Teeth Watkins. Y'all funny. I fucks with pre-teeth Boyce Watkins. Post-teeth Boyce Watkins is on some other shit. I fucks with pre-teeth Boyce Watkins. That nigga ain't troll. That nigga Boyce Watkins don't tell the truth anymore. He tells the tooth. Boyce the Tooth Watkins. But pre-teeth Boyce Watkins, I fucks with you, bruh. I fucks with pre-teeth Boyce Watkins. But again, I'll never go on Boyce Watkins and tell him in this chat room and tell him he's wrong. I just come over here and talk about my point of view. And I may not necessarily be right. This is just my point of view. I fuck up sometime. It's going to be certain shit that I say that I'm wrong on. I'm human. I'm trying just like everybody else. I'm trying just like everybody else. What's up, Great Black Shark in the chat room? So we talking about the Ukraine thing and the LGBTQ folks and how these LGBTQers want to flip-flop back and forth between their sexual identity depending on what's politically convenient for them. And it's good to see the Ukraine step up and say no. You want to be a man, then be a man. And that's what we call integrity. You are who you are through all situations. And I'm telling you right now, I'm going for the same thing in America. If a draft came, unfortunately, if a draft comes, if there's some kind of situation, then no, since I have been forced over the last 10 years to change my whole perception on life, my point of view, and the way I talk and treat people, because there's a strong transgender community with a strong media behind them to tell us and bully us on what we should say versus what we shouldn't say, then when it's time to go to war, pick up an AK-47, matter of fact, you can pack your strap on, because they be doing all kind of freaky sexual shit in the military. Pack your strap on, pack on a 9mm sidearm, an AK-47, and get in that foxhole and go to war. Just make sure you're not digging in booty holes while you in that foxhole. Make sure you keep it focused on the war. Because that's what you decided you should do. That's what you felt in your heart. That's what you felt God made you as. That's what you felt no one can judge you over because you are this and the world should understand that. Fine. Get to shooting. Get to shooting, Vladimir Putin. And that's just what it is. If we're going to be forced to conform, then you got to go all the way, homie. Or I'll make a deal with you. I'll make a deal with you, LGBTQ folks. Or you can live your life and I can live mine. You can identify with whatever you feel you need to identify as, but I have the right to see you how I see you. And there's no argument. How about that? You can put on your heels. You can stick your balls inside of your thong. You can do all the freaky Santa Monica Boulevard things you want to do. You can stay in that world, get it done, however you want to do it, any way you like, how you like. You can do that. That's fine. But I can do me, use the words that I want to use, live how I want to live, and you can't tell me I can't say that. I'm okay with people being who they are. You just can't request that for yourself and not allow me to do that for myself. It ain't gonna be no one-sided affair. This is gonna be both of us. Either we all gonna be who we gonna be, or none of us. You dig what I'm saying? Those are my thoughts on the LGBTQers and the trans community and all that shit. You know, I want y'all to look out for Craig Facts next week. On Craig Facts next week, we're going to have a Father's Edition. We're going to be talking, me and Craig, our fathers came down to the show. And we're going to be talking about Black America during the 60s and the 70s and how our culture was taken from their point of view. You're going to hear some players, some brothers from the time. That's how you get your history. You get your history from listening and to the people who were there at that time when things were going on. Because remember this, culture changes every 25 years. Culture changes every 20 to 25 years. So since culture shifts, when you look at things from today's point of view, when you look at yesterday from today's point of view, you get a mix-up in how things were. We asked some dope questions of our fathers. We asked everything from, you know, how was it living in LA in the 60s and the 70s? How did things change in the 70s and the 80s? And how did we end up now? And Craig's dad and my dad, really broke it down. You see, that's my dad that's closest to you on the right in the blue shirt, and that's Craig's dad just next to him in the middle. We're going to have this dope-ass episode, so subscribe to Craig Facts. And we're going to be talking to the OGs. It's going to be a 2-part show. You're going to hear from the OGs what was going on at that time. And we also breaking stereotypes. People always talk about, man, the black community ain't got... We got in talking about how the black community was in the 60s before we were broken up, and how Craig's dad really broke down how, you know, how the whole neighborhood was your family. And if you did something wrong, you probably faced 6-7 ass whoopings before you got home. We got in talking about how our community acted towards one another before the crack epidemic destroyed a lot of the fabric of our community. You hear people saying that black people don't have families. You get to listen to my dad talk about, you know, sacrificing, you know, his personal long Cadillacs and nice clothes so I could go to basketball practice. And you're going to really see some real black community shit. The things that they say black community don't have, all that shit about to be blown the fuck out the water straight from the father's mouth. Yeah, Magnetic. We talk about that. How crack changed all that. But my dad, they both broke down something I didn't. They talked about even before the crack, the heroin. And how the heroin was starting a lot of that stuff. And then that led to the crack doing what it did. They're going to break all that shit down. So you about to get this foundational black American history lesson and evolution or devolution of black society in one episode. So salute to my dad, man. I love my dad. My dad, man, shit. Y'all don't even know. Y'all don't even know. Me and my dad, what? My dad, man, easily one of my best friends. Easily. Pops is one of my best friends. You dig what I'm saying? So I can't wait for y'all to hear that. I can't wait for y'all to hear that. Subscribe to Craig Facts now if you're not currently subscribed. It's on my suggested channel list below. Which leads to this Phat Tuesday documentary review I want to do. You're asking me, Dwan, why are we talking about a documentary on comedy? Because in this documentary, there were a lot of elements of black culture I want you guys to pick up and understand and see. I want y'all to pick it up because in this documentary, I encourage, if you have not seen this documentary, Phat Tuesdays, it's on Amazon Prime. Please, 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 please watch it. It's a miniseries. I think it's either 3 or 4 episodes. I'm not sure, 3 or 4. But please watch it. Please watch it. It's going to tie in a lot. A lot of what I have to say on my music family tree will make sense. More sense. Because you see on my music family tree, look at what I have nestled right here in the middle. Stand-up comedy. You see how stand-up comedy is sort of nestled there between jazz, blues, rock and roll? People don't understand how stand-up comedy is a genre that was created in those Chitlin Circuit juke joints. There's a whole genre that black people created that most black people are not even aware that we created. And in this documentary, they touch upon it without going all the way there, because I'm not sure they even know we created it. You say you watched it? Emmanuel, yeah. Magnetic said the way they was happy to be on that wall. I get why you're frustrated at that, Magnetic. I get it. I get it. As a comedian, I get why they're happy. That generation of comedians, I get why they're happy. But I also get why you just said what you said in the chat room. And I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that. I get both sides. I'm going to talk about that. Well, for those of you who did not see this documentary, watch it. Watch it, watch it, watch it. Please watch it. In the early 90s, late 80s, Black America revolutionized stand-up comedy. Before the 80s into the 90s, stand-up comedy was basically Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy. It was a special that would come on HBO. You had little small stand-up shows. I remember Rodney Dangerfield had his own stand-up show, and it was, that was for the most part it. Black folks turned stand-up comedy into a full-on genre during the 80s and the 90s. Starting with the Comedy Act Theater in Leimert Park. This is LA's contribution to the world of art and entertainment. Black LA's contribution. One thing about LA, LA and those of us born and raised here, we like the moon. The moon don't bark at the dog. One thing we have a very bad, terrible thing of doing here in LA is not really taking credit for our influence on the culture. One thing I'll give New Yorkers credit for, if New Yorkers can take an inch of credit, if they have an inch of credit on anything, they'll take a mile into claiming that shit. You give New Yorkers an inch, they will take a mile with the claims. LA cats aren't really like that. We just be like, yeah, we did that. Okay, cool, whatever. Disco comes out of LA. Yeah, okay. We don't, a form of music that's still the most popular form of music across the world, disco. It's not identified as disco, it's identified as pop now, but pop is just disco. That comes out of LA. We'd be like, whatever. But when you're talking about stand-up comedy, that's something that LA has to take credit in revolutionizing. Because there is no Def Comedy Jam without the LA comedy scene. What do I mean by the LA comedy scene? Leimert Park, Comedy Act Theater, Robin Harris. Robin Harris created a thing over in Leimert Park. And Robin Harris was somebody, and this, one thing I love about this documentary is they spent a long time giving Robin Harris his due. Giving Robin Harris the credit he deserved for being the god of comedy that he was. Robin Harris had the Comedy Act Theater in Leimert Park. And his style of comedy was very raw. It was a style that Def Comedy Jam was built off of. Robin Harris went to Manual High School here in South Central LA. At the same time, my dad went to Manual Arts High School. My dad went to high school with Robin Harris. They're both Manual Arts High School class, I think 70 or 71, somewhere around there. Robin Harris brought in that whole bagging on the audience, that energy. That was Robin Harris. That whole Def Comedy Jam style was Robin Harris. Some of y'all know Robin Harris's pops from, he was pops on, why am I drawing a blank? Y'all know the goddamn movie. The movie that they remaking. What's that movie that they remaking? I'm drawing, yeah, Test Tube, baby. Y'all know the fucking movie Kid and Play. God damn it, y'all. House Party. Guy Toy did a really good job of giving credit to where it came from. It wasn't until they saw what was going on in the Comedy Act Theater in Leimert Park in the Crenshaw District that they had the idea for Def Comedy Jam. And this documentary did a great job of pointing that out also. And the show, on one hand, it's good to give credit to the originators here in LA, but at the same time, here's the reason why you can't stay on that. You gotta expand your point of view. Because bigger than the originator is the synergy that's created by those who take from what the originator did and grow up on it. Robin Harris created what he did. New York and Def Comedy Jam, Russell Simmons took that and put it on TV and made it a worldwide thing. So what Phat Tuesdays did was take that worldwide thing, take what Robin Harris did before that, and made it even bigger on a Tuesday night here in Los Angeles, California. There was a synergy created. And through that synergy, Phat Tuesdays is where you went to go to get booked on Comic View. The people who smashed Phat Tuesdays became that's how, you know, that's where Cube was when he saw Chris Tucker. I mean, when he saw Mike Epps. When he found Mike Epps for Friday, he was at Phat Tuesdays. Same thing with Friday. The movie Friday. That was born out of Phat Tuesdays comics. Comedy Act Theater comics. There was a synergy created. It went from the comedy clubs locally to national TV in New York to mainstream comedy back in Hollywood, to the people within that environment being plucked out, and now they're the major stars of today. It's a synergy. That's why you, at one point, it's good to acknowledge the root, but at the same time, it's great to acknowledge everyone, because in the acknowledgement of all, you get to see the true synergy that's created when great minds put their heads together and collectively do things. That's one thing that we don't do well enough as a people, is talk about the synergy that we have amongst each other. Jazz was created in New Orleans, expanded upon in Kansas City, brought to the national stage in New York, cooled off in LA with the birth of the cool. And that synergy between the different sounds of jazz, the different influences of jazz, turned jazz into the world music that it became in America's classical music art form. No different than hip hop. People were rapping in LA in the 60s before that hip hop party in New York in the 70s. But credit to New York for having that hip hop party, because it was done in a place where it was done in front of a lot of eyes. And then when it came back to the West Coast, we did something different with it. And then when it got to the Midwest in Chicago, in St. Louis, they put their twist on it. Same with down south with Houston and Atlanta. And then when you have the Seattle brothers in the upper Northwest. And when you have this polygenesis thing going on where you have different movements of hip hop, it all coalesced in the early 90s and grew and blew up into a worldwide thing that no individual coast could have done by itself. But the synergy of it all made it all as big as it is, and as big as it is right now. Synergy is when the sum of things is great. I'm off the top of my head, so y'all can look this shit up. Don't quote me all the way. It's off the top of my head. But synergy is when the elements equal to a greater than the sum of its parts. Basically, when the element with the different parts of things, when you put them all together, the sum of that is greater than everything done as individual parts. We must always think on this level as Black people. It's a Eurocentric way of thinking when you break things down into one, this or that, me versus you, I versus we, them. That's a European social construct. Our social contract is holistic. The whole. That's right, Dedication 666, like Voltron. We are at our best when we create a synergy. So Phat Tuesdays did that. Do y'all know Phat Tuesdays is, I remember there was one, should I even say this? One of my previous guests, he put in some work on, I'm gonna tell the story, but I'm not gonna mention his name because I don't know if this thing ever went to court or not. But one of my previous guests on here, a comedian, he came on the show probably 2 years ago now. But there was a big old fight that they didn't talk about this in the documentary, but there was a big old fight that broke out at the Comedy Store involving Tupac. And this particular comic whooped like 4-5 niggas ass that night. He a little dude. Corey talks about him sometime on 5150. And this dude whooped some ass. And this other comic, who I won't mention his name either, I found out later on, this other comic who go around claiming cuz this, cuz that, was the main one pointing and snitching on the work this other comic put on this particular popular gang here in LA. It'd be all kind of shit like that going on at Phat Tuesdays too. Some of the most infamous stories in hip hop happened at Phat Tuesdays. No, it wasn't Scruncho. It was not Scruncho. Scruncho never did the show. Although, the last time I talked to Scruncho, hey, would y'all want to see Scruncho on here? Because the last time I saw Scruncho about 6 months ago, he asked me to come on. He was like, man, I'm gonna come on to your show. I was like, man, I want Scruncho to do it. Just I haven't been doing interviews lately. Y'all notice I haven't been doing interviews at all. But when I get back to doing interviews, y'all want to see Scruncho? We talked about it last time I saw him. All right, cool. Y'all saying yeah? All right, cool. When I get back to doing interviews, I'll get Scruncho on here. Much love to Scruncho. I love that motherfucker right there. Scruncho always got a good word when you see him. He always got something uplifting to say. He always got something uplifting to say. So salute to Scruncho. Yeah, now when I start back doing interviews, I'm gonna bring Scruncho on. Okay, since y'all want it, I'll bring him on. But this Phat Tuesdays documentary really pointed out how we as a people, who we are. I want you guys to see, to get a real understanding of black culture, you gotta listen when you shouldn't be listening. Sometimes the story is this, but the lesson is in that. What do I mean by that? This documentary was on a comedy night. But you see the humanity in foundational Black American society. You see when you see these documentaries, you see that we are not the people that they make us out to be. Why am I saying this? There was a part in the documentary where the women got to talking. Tiffany Haddish, and salute to Tiffany, I love Tiffany. And all the women, they got talking about how every show, there was always going to be at least one woman on the show. That's because Guy didn't discriminate. Guy allowed space for women. And so we get our Tiffany Haddishes, our Kim Whitleys, our Lunells, Melanie Camarchos. They were all on equal footing with the men at Phat Tuesdays. You saw Flame Monroe, transgender. See, Flame is the kind of transgenders I fuck with. Flame is basically like, look, this how I am, this how I get down. You ain't gotta fuck with it. But this is me. Salute to Flame Monroe. I'm all down for transgenders who get down like Flame Monroe. This who I am. Deal with it. But you ain't gotta bend, and I ain't gotta bend towards you. I'ma be me, you be you. Salute to Flame Monroe. But Flame talks about being new in the comedy and getting an opportunity on Phat Tuesdays. That's because we as a people, that's how we are. We allow people to be who they are. Now we're gonna crack some jokes. We're gonna make you laugh at it for a little bit. Why not? We some funny people. But we're gonna allow you to be who you are. And that's how we are. And I want to also, first of all, my bad. First of all, let me apologize for first not giving it up to Guy Torry. I love Guy Torry. I'm a say this. Yes, this show is being done with a slanted point of view, slanted towards the worthiness, the greatness of Guy Torry. I love Guy Torry. When I saw this documentary, it made me remember how good of a dude he is. Because of a lot of the things that I faced in stand-up comedy, I'm gonna give you guys full disclosure. I have a lot of bitterness in my spirit towards stand-up comedy. I'm still very bitter about certain things in comedy. I know I talk about not being bitter, but I ain't perfect. This is just me expressing my heart to my fan base, to the people who listen to me, to show you guys, nigga, I'm a work in progress just like y'all. We here to help each other. I have bitterness in my heart still towards stand-up comedy in some ways, because of when I first started and a lot of things that I went through early on in stand-up comedy. When I started out being just a funny guy saying funny jokes, to when I started to go more political, I felt stand-up turned its back on me when I got political. And all of the people that was fucking with me before I turned political stopped fucking with me. So that put a lot of bitterness in me towards the genre itself. And that's something that me as a person, I'm still trying to outgrow, because I allowed it to affect me in comedy. I allowed it to throw me off my game. I allowed that bitterness to not put me in the right situations to get more exposure. I allowed that bitterness to pull me out. So because of my bitterness, I hurt myself in stand-up comedy more than stand-up comedy hurt me, because of my bitterness towards a few things that happened against me in the comedy game. But I gotta thank Guy Torrey for being someone who, during that time when I was getting real bitter towards stand-up comedy, we're talking 2014, 2013, 2014. I was only in the game 3 or 4 years at the time. But Guy was somebody who stood at my side. Guy was somebody who, the person that they say in this documentary that allowed you to be who you are, that's 100. That's 100. Because I used to host at this comedy club here in LA called the Comedy Union. And the Comedy Union was owned by this brother named Ian Mitchell. And salute to Ian. I still got love for Ian because he gave me the opportunity. I'm never going to down that man or say anything bad about that man, because he gave me an opportunity to host one of the at the time 2 black-owned comedy clubs in LA. And I had only been doing comedy a year. He gave me that opportunity. So I'm always going to have love, respect, and reverence for him for that. But Ian was in the documentary. He was in the Phat Tuesdays documentary. When I started to go more towards my political comedy, I went from being a regular at the Comedy Union, hosting there every week, doing shows on Saturdays and becoming a regular, to when I started to become more political. I went from getting on stage there literally almost every week to not getting booked there for like 3 or 4 years. It was during that time that Guy would talk to me, and then when I would get booked there, it was when Guy booked me. Guy was like, man, I don't give a fuck about none of that shit, man. DeWan, you funny. Shit, going on that stage, nigga. And there was a time for about a few months period that I would talk to Guy on the phone about once a week. Sometimes me and Guy, and I literally forgot about all this shit until I saw this documentary. Because I'm so focused on getting it. I'm so focused on being the greatest I can be. At the same time, I'm a Gemini. It's paradox. On one hand, I'm kind of bitter about some things that went on. On the other hand, I keep pushing forward because I know I'm the shit. I know I'm gonna be great at what I do. So on one hand, I have a little bitterness I'm holding on to. On the other hand, I totally forget shit and just keep pushing forward. Because at the end of the day, when I got into stand-up comedy, I never got into stand-up comedy to be the next Richard Pryor. When I got into comedy in 2010, it's because I wanted to get on radio. And at the time, I didn't know what podcasting was. The way to voice myself was to get on the radio. I was trying to get on KJLH here in LA. And I knew the Comedy Union had a relationship with KJLH. So I strategically made that my home comedy club because of their relationship with KJLH. And I was like, I want to do radio. So I figured my best way to get on the radio is to do comedy, because comedy is the absolute hardest form of improvisational entertainment. And if you can master comedy, you can master anything. So now I'm kind of where I wanted to be when I got into comedy. I have an audience. Thank everyone in here. You guys are a reflection of what I enter comedy to do. I entered comedy to do exactly what I'm doing right now. Because even though I had a degree in communication studies, I was a great debater, I'm a great public speaker. The hardest form of public speaking is stand-up comedy. Making people laugh when they expect to laugh. That's the hardest shit to do. So I figure, okay, if I'm gonna be good at public speaking, if I'm gonna be good at radio, I gotta master comedy. So Guy Torrey was somebody when I was really starting to get down on myself, get discouraged, get real bitter. Guy was somebody that I could talk to. And I don't even think Guy knows he helped me out this way. He was just talking to me. I don't even know if he knew he was doing this for me, but he was. But he was. Guy was very instrumental into keeping me encouraged in this comedy game. People like Guy, people like Ricky Harris, rest in peace. When I was new into comedy, Ricky Harris was the person that told me I got something, because I was always different. Me and Craig were always two eyeball ass niggas in stand-up comedy. Our comedy is a totally different approach than what people are out there seeing. And you don't understand how hard it is. This Phat Tuesdays documentary made me grow an appreciation for those 90s comics and early 2000s comics, because I got tired of them niggas, to tell you the truth. Because my style of comedy, when it comes to these comedy clubs, they sort of these comedy clubs are still stuck on that era of comedy. And comedy's evolved since then. And I'm part of the evolution of that. So when people like me, people like Craig got into comedy in 2010, the comedy clubs weren't ready for us. Because they're still looking for 90s Phat Tuesday style comedians when we something totally different. And Guy was somebody that recognized the change in comedy, and he would still give the opportunity to us new, different styles of comedians that are doing something different. When Guy was in control at the Comedy Union, when he had to say on who got on stage, Guy made sure that he kept that thing going on. I appreciate you, Lori. I appreciate y'all in the chat room. I appreciate that comment. Yeah, I had to stand on my square. I appreciate that. Wonderfully wonderful. I appreciate that. So I can say that about Guy Torrey. But you get to see in this documentary, there is a real love. You see how they put Tiffany Haddish, one of the biggest movie stars on earth, and she still came back and did the documentary because Tiffany's a real one. One of my jokes, one of my punchlines, one of my callbacks to one of my jokes, I have this joke I called Just the Manager. And the two people who helped me punch that joke up to where it's funny is Ida Rodriguez and Tiffany Haddish. I have a joke that I used to do. I might bring the joke back, but I did it during the Obama administration, where I talked about how I'm just the manager, how I manage these apartment buildings, and how I ain't got no authority. It just looked like I got authority. And the tagline of that joke was, I'm just the manager. But Tiffany Haddish is the one that told me that. I was just kind of saying it one night in the comedy spot, and Tiffany was like, oh, DeWan, you got something. And this is before Tiffany blew up and became who she is now. But she was like, you just the manager. Nigga, that's the joke. Then Ida was like, yeah. Then Ida had given me a couple like little punchlines. Ida Rodriguez and Tiffany Haddish, they're very close. They super close. I love both of them. But those two one night we had some musty ass workout comedy room called Marty's. Marty's is this place where only comics went to work on their jokes. And it was just me, Tiffany, and Ida in that room. And they really looked out for me. And I ended up taking what they gave me and turned it into a way bigger joke. A joke that I don't even tell anymore. I'm glad we're having this talk. Next time I get on stage, I'm gonna tell that joke again. And so what happened was, in this documentary, you got to see the community. The reason why I'm giving you guys this review is because I want you guys to watch it and pay attention to the community aspect of it. The love, the brothership, the fellowship, the kinship. I'm here to say, as someone who went to Phat Tuesdays when I turned 21 as a patron just to go and see it, I saw it, and everything they're saying is true. To someone who started comedy after Phat Tuesdays, but I still know a lot of the people who were in the documentaries. I'm here to show you that not one lie was told. And I want you to take a notice of the community aspect of Phat Tuesdays. How it developed, the brothership, the kinship, the sisterhood, the community. And to show that the Black American community, the Black community, even though a lot of what we have got destroyed socially in the 80s and 90s because of the crack epidemic, that communal nature we have still exists within the few pockets of things that we control. You give Black people control, you're going to get inclusion of women, inclusion of others regardless of their sexual lifestyle. You're going to get encouragement, and you're going to get love. And all of that was showcased in this Phat Tuesdays documentary. I want you guys to check it out and notice those things. And look at the cottage industry it created. Another thing this documentary pointed out was how this night saved the Comedy Store. And that's true. Because back in the day, when I used to do loans, I used to be in commercial lending. I remember that a certain file coming across my desk of a certain comedy club on Sunset Boulevard. And I remember seeing when we were trying to decide whether or not we're going to bail this company out, this particular comedy club, out of its financial constraints. I remember talking to someone in the office and I saw that they were making money, but the only night that place was making money was on Tuesday nights. And I remember telling comedians this all the time, and it was just great. See, that's one thing about me. I don't mind sounding crazy when I know I'm right. I remember telling like other comedians this and they would look at me kind of like, man, Dwan, you always talking about Black people this, Black people that. And then this documentary comes out. Whoa, it confirms what I said. I said that 10 years ago, 12 years ago. I think when I'm running, I remember some of them coon comics that thought I was just on some pro-Black shit when I told them that. I think when next time I see them when I'm out, I'm going to remind them of them looking at me crazy when I told them that Phat Tuesdays is what saved the Comedy Store. All the niggas that looked at me crazy when I said that, when I see them one by one, I'm going to remind them that, hey, the documentary said, for sure, what I told your ass back in 2011, nigga. What's up, Larry? And Larry in the chat room, that's where we met. Comedy Union. So, and why did, in the same thing, after Phat Tuesdays in it, I got to give love to Chris Spencer, because after it was Phat Tuesdays, it became Chris Spencer's Tripping on Tuesdays. And my first time performing at the Comedy Store on the main stage was because of Chris Spencer. Anytime Chris Spencer has something going on, I can just go to him and be like, hey, Chris, man, let me get some stage time. And Chris gave it up. And I had a mediocre set. Larry was there. Larry, you was there at that show when I did the Tripping on Tuesdays at the Comedy Store on the main stage. My first time, I did it a couple times. My first time doing it, this is your first time doing a major stage, as a young comic. I'm glad I didn't bomb like a lot of these niggas did, but I had an okay show. It was all right. It was all right. What's up, Heartoons? I'm still waiting on your email, Heartoons. I ain't forgot. I just ain't got your email. info@incenseandashtrays.com. And I'm going to send you a couple of them. I'm going to send you like 2 or 3 loops. Yeah, Larry, I remember when you did the Comedy Store main stage. Hey, Larry, was you there that night, Larry, when Drake was there? See, that's how I was at the Comedy Store. One night, we was at the Comedy Store. It would just be weird, funny things like this that happened. Because Chris Spencer's Tripping on Tuesdays sort of kept the momentum going as Phat Tuesdays. Anybody could show up. We was in the back smoking weed. Me, Slink, and Larry. We was smoking with Mike Epps. Larry, you was there when Mike Epps was there, right, though? When we were smoking with Mike Epps? Me, you, and Slink? Yeah, you was there, because we got a picture. I think that picture was like, one night we were smoking with Mike Epps up back in that motherfucker. That shit was so goddamn funny. And then the next week when you weren't there, Drake showed up. Yeah. She's saying, "What you asked me was the significance of Tuesdays. The significance of Tuesdays was that was a night that white people, basically what it come down to, black people get the nights that white people ain't using. That was the significance of it being on Tuesdays. That's the night that white people didn't use the club. Like Mo Better Mondays and Chocolate Sundays. These are the nights that white people don't use white comedy clubs, so they get black people to come and turn shit out. Another reason why I want you to watch it is because it's proof that black people, what we do, supports what they do. Without the infusion of black nights and black people, all 3 of the major comedy clubs would be dead. Laugh Factory, Comedy Store, and Improv. They biggest nights are the black nights. The Comedy Store doesn't have a main stage black night now because how the Tuesday night ended. It ended when what's his name that used to promote Def Jam? What's his name, Larry? Larry, you know who I'm talking about. What's up, Joe Fox? Joe's still in here. Yeah, Joe's somebody you can see regularly on these Tuesday nights. This nigga Joe Fox performs at all the major nights. Like, I'm envious of Joe Fox. This nigga Joe Fox, this motherfucker, if it's a major comedy night in LA or around the country, my man Joe Fox in the chat room, he's done it at least 45,000 times. He ain't just a person that designs shit, he's a funny ass comic. Yeah, Larry, Bob Sumner. What happened was Bob Sumner, Tuesday night, Comedy Store now got its weight back. They get their regulars that's now coming, so Comedy Store is now getting its money, so they figured they can kick the black nights out. So what happened was, on one of these Tuesday nights, there was a shooting at the Comedy Store. Now, mind you, this shooting happened an hour after Bob Sumner's Tuesday night show was over. The main stage was still going on, and that roast battle. See, what the Comedy Store gets the money. What helped it get rid of Black Night was that whole roast battle thing that Joe Rogan's a part of. My man David Lucas, and this now it's a major thing. The Kill Tony show down in Austin. Well, that stuff started to get a momentum at the Comedy Store. So a shooting happened at the Comedy Store while the Kill Tony show was going on upstairs, while the white original room was going on. An hour after the black night was over with, they blamed the black night for the shooting and kicked the black night out of the Comedy Store. So there has not been any main stage black night since that happened. And to the best of my memory, that we're talking 2017, 2018, sometime around there. Let me know if I'm right, Joe, around the time that shooting happened at the Comedy Store. Off my memory, we're talking 2017-ish. But the Comedy Store, they got their PPP money now, whatever, they doing good. But I guarantee you, when they money start going low, which it will, there's going to be another black show in their main room, and it's going to be the biggest show that they have. But we're not going to see that come until the Comedy Store starts losing money. But yeah, shooting happened while the white shows were going on. Yeah, Joe, you was there when Drew had it. Yeah, that was when Chris Spencer was hosting. See, when I did the show, Drew didn't put me on. Chris Spencer did. Chris Spencer did. But that show, that documentary, Phat Tuesdays, was authentic. It shows how hip hop and comedy came together. Because little that do black people know, stand-up comedy and music have always been connected. Stand-up comedy in the blues, stand-up comedy in jazz, stand-up comedy in spoken word and dance. That's all part of our culture. It's all part of our culture. That's why I don't get mad when people like T.I. want to do comedy. Because as a lesson, go back and listen to my interview with Bobby Rush. I keep telling y'all, especially on the second one, he talks very clearly about how, Bobby Rush talked very clearly on that about how stand-up comedy was always a part of the Chitlin Circuit act. You couldn't just sing, you couldn't just dance, you couldn't just play the guitar. You had to sing, dance, play the guitar, and do comedy. Because if you're gonna make a bunch of sharecroppers laugh, you better do more than one goddamn thing. I can't say Godfrey was sneak diss and tip. I get where Godfrey was coming from. T.I., I don't mind him doing it, but there is a certain rule to the game. You don't come on after the headliner. Godfrey was mad that T.I. went on after him as a headliner, and as he should have been. Because when you headline a show, first of all, you ain't trying to be in no damn comedy club all night. Comedians make as much on our merch, if not more on our merch, than we do what the comedy club is paying. So after you headline, it's not stage etiquette to go on after the headliner. T.I. will have a major problem if Godfrey decided to rap tomorrow, and after T.I. shut down and performed his show, Godfrey goes on stage and starts rapping after T.I. T.I. would have a major problem with that. So I get where both sides are coming from. On one side, T.I. is trying comedy. He wants to be great in comedy. I get you, partner, do your thing. At the same time, it is very disrespectful to get on stage after the headliner. The headliner want to go home. The headliner got merch to sell. You doing 30 more minutes now. I got to stay here longer. Nigga, shit. Now, when you headline, it's headlining comedy. It takes years to get to that point. So I guarantee you if T.I. went on before Godfrey wouldn't have had nothing to say. I guarantee you if T.I. went on first or second, then it would have been like, oh, he doing comedy. Cool. Nigga, but after you headline, nah. You're right, Quandez. Professional courtesy. Professional courtesy. But if you're not an entertainer, I don't expect you to understand. To people who aren't entertainers, You know, we just people who put on shows for y'all. So you guys don't get the professional courtesy. You guys don't understand the politics of performance. So I understand why you guys would take sides. But as an artist, I ain't taking either one side. Both had good points. Both were tripping a little bit. But I understand both T.I. and Godfrey. That's right, Joe. If Tip is a real one, he'll find the protocol. So, it is what it is. It is what it is. What's up, Eddie Floyd? Eddie be around for all this shit. He know. Shit, Eddie was probably there when the goddamn thing happened at the Comedy Store. That fight with Tupac and Eddie. Shit, knowing Eddie's ass is probably there. this nigga be at everything. Yeah, y'all know Eddie. If y'all know Eddie Floyd, Eddie's always a guy that's sitting in the background on the Zoe. When Zoe used to be at when Zoe used to have his show at Dash Radio, remember it'd always be a light-skinned nigga in the back laughing? That's Eddie. I'm putting you on blast, Eddie. That's the light-skinned nigga that would always be in the back when Zoe was down at Dash Radio. And remember he had the blue room. The room was blue. It'd be Jeff Brown, Zoe Williams, and then Corey would come in, and it'd be a nigga sitting in the background. That's him. That's Eddie. Salute to Eddie Floyd. Josh said, I thought that was Zoe dad. Hey, Josh Hawkins, you ain't shit for that, boy. You ain't shit for that, Josh. Speaking of comedy, we're going to have a Craig Facts Live on April 9th here in LA. We got a show in San Diego coming up and also a show in Oakland. Those dates will be announced later on. That's what's up, Mark. Thank you for joining. But again, watch this documentary. Pay attention to it. See who we are when we are at our best. Also, Atlanta is somewhere we need to be. We will be in Atlanta this summer. I guarantee you, we're going to be in Atlanta and Texas this summer. Hot Atlanta. We're going to be out there. The San Diego show is going to be sometime in April. I'm not sure the date yet. We'll be in San Diego sometime in April. But when you see documentaries like this, you see the true communal aspect we have as a people and how we're all we ever need. When you look at that explosion of black movies, black actors on TV in the 90s and the 2000s, they were all sourced out of black creations, starting with Robin Harris's Night at the Comedy Act to Russell Simmons' evolution of the Comedy Act to Guy Torres' evolution of both Def Jam and the Comedy Act. You see that we are all we ever needed. White America don't know what to do with us. They only know what we do, and they copy what we do. They emulate what we do. When we create it, when we build it, they come along and pull from it. We are the culture. Mama Zig is on Amazon Prime. This is further more truth that we as Black Americans are the culture. When we say we are America, that's the fucking truth. Yeah, Michael Williams was the owner of the Black Comedy Act Theater. Michael Williams was the owner. Thank you, Michael Williams, for your vision. Thank you, Russell Simmons, Bob Sumner. Ians Mitchell. Pookie. Spike. And some of these names I'm mentioning, these niggas don't fuck with me. Some of these names, they don't fuck with my comedy. But I still salute them. Because it ain't about me. It's about the greater good. It's about the whole. And these are all people that made major contributions to the whole. So they don't have to necessarily fuck with me for me to give them their honor for contributing to the whole. But I do fucks with Guy Torrey. That's my nigga right there. And I thank him. And I'm glad I saw him a couple weeks ago. I saw Guy and I did thank him. I pulled him to the side and just thanked him. Said thank you. I'm glad I got to tell Guy Torrey thank you for this. Aria Nichelle, Belly Room. 18 years in the Comedy Store. Do you know I stopped by the Belly Room for the first time, Joe, this past Thursday? That was my first time going to the Belly Room probably since like 2018, 19. She deserves it because a lot of your internet guys, Tony Baker, Tahir, a lot of them got to sharpen their extent of comedy fist iron at Nichelle Murdoch's room at the Comedy Store, the Belly Room. I haven't performed there in a long ass time. I don't really do that room like that. But that room is still the Black America. It shows Black America still producing. Nichelle Murdoch's Belly Room show is pumping out a lot of these cats that you see on the internet out of LA. A lot of them got to either host or go up regularly at her room. We are the culture. It's time that we know that and claim it. Because as we know and claim it, our behavior, these things that we see as a problem, other people capitalizing off us, that'll become less and less frequent when we see the truth for who we are. I want to thank y'all for joining. Join me tonight on Incense and Ashtrays. I'm going to get Incense and Ashtrays going tonight. We're going to get going probably about 8:30. Between 8:30 and 9 o'clock tonight. We're going to do my Incense and Ashtrays. Breaking down the music. Live music mixed down. Subscribe to the Mixcloud. We're going to be playing some music, talking some music history. Getting it in. All right. I want to thank y'all for joining. Get your merchandise at hotepish.com/shop. And I want y'all to remember this. There are no perfect messengers. Only perfect messages for those who are willing to pick up the game. Thank y'all again for joining. We out.